Right. Good morning, everybody, and also welcome to the later joiners. Thanks for joining this webinar. Hope you all grabbed a cup of coffee while joining the session. But let's start right away. Let's talk about how to future-proof your workforce in today's world, and we're going to do that in some kind of a few steps. So, first of all, let's introduce ourselves. Let's introduce CWSI and MOPCO, and I'm going to tell you how the landscape has changed. COVID might be some of influence of that. You can already guess that, but there are, of course, other factors that have influenced the landscape that we have today. We're going to tackle the hybrid workplace challenges and see how we can tackle them, basically. And then we have, of course, our own product, which is Workplace, and what makes it unique. That's what we're going to discuss today. Sessions should normally be around 1 hour, and there's some time for questions as well. There should be in the navigation pane you have there somewhere, there should be a questions tab. If you have questions, you can pop them in. If they're interestingly enough, then I can even handle them. But any question that you have, of course, related to modern workplace, you can pop in there. Right. Simple introduction. So CWSI, the company I work for, and organizing this session, obviously, founded in Dublin, 2011. We have around 135, almost 140 employees today, and we are in 5 countries. So basically, we have CWSI in Dublin. We have offices in the UK. We have the Blad partner in the Netherlands, which came in quite by acquisition, and as well MOPCO for Belgium and Luxembourg, where I'm from. So we make together we make the 5 countries. We have a global customer base, however, and what we're doing, we are specialists in managing and securing hybrid work. We come from the MDM world and from security world, so we joined forces to have some kind of a holistic thing around the workplace. We have 2 models. We have the direct to market and the channel partner model. So we have some quite interesting partners as well, where we have a very good relationship with. And we're founding member of the Enterprise Mobility Expert Alliance. It's better known as the EMEA. Basically, this is CWSI-like companies around Europe that join forces and work together to gain knowledge, to make sure we're up to standards, to discuss the new trends in the market, and so we learn from each other. We do have these friendly colleagues in Germany, in France, and in Switzerland today. Let me see, around our purpose. So our purpose is to enable the world to work securely from everywhere. And so we don't make any compromises there. We talk about any application, any device, any network, any platform, any what you like, any place even. And so we call it the work from anywhere world. And we're gonna see that throughout this presentation. For myself, I'm Wouter Troost. I'm the product director of a product called Workplace. I worked for MOPCO for 4 years, and so we joined the CWSI group last year. And I have a background as a service manager in managed services and telecommunications. Right, let's dive into it. So, as I said, the landscape has changed. So the way we work has changed forever. And in today's modern workplace, where people work from anywhere, anytime, on any device, that is here to stay. We thought at the beginning it was just a trend at COVID, but if we look at the numbers today, 60% of the companies are actively facilitating the hybrid working. So that's a huge increase compared to, let's say, 2019. And what's even more interesting here is that 30% of today's workforce is exclusively working from home, or at least not from an office. And so it's more than important that we make this new reality work for the long term. So with people having the freedom to choose where they log on and where they work, basically, we need to adapt a few things. For example, your IT policies. So those policies across the entire organizations need to be reviewed to ensure that they not only meet but also keep the pace of the modern demands and of the modern workplace and enable business success. And this new reality also results in employees wanting or expecting the same simple, consistent experience everywhere, anytime, and on any device. And there are already some companies that have thought this true. And a good example that I like to give is the Outlook application, for example. I'm sure a lot of you are using Outlook today. Well, the experience that you have with Outlook is the same on a Mac, is the same on a tablet, is the same on an Android phone, same on a Windows PC. So the app looks exactly the same, the experience is exactly the same. And that counts for the complete 365 stack. So that's just a simple example of the expectation of users with regards to the experience that they get. So let's dive in some of the challenges that this new reality is presenting for IT teams. But first, let's have some kind of a poll. So I would like to know from you, what is the biggest benefit today that you see in hybrid working? I'll give you a few seconds to answer those. All right, almost all of you have answered. Right, good. So these are the results. So most of you think, or at least believe, that one of the biggest benefits is the more efficient use of time, and that the work-life balance has the most impact, basically. We see indeed some higher productivity, people that have chosen for higher productivity. Yes, indeed, that counts for some people. There are also people that are more productive in the office, obviously, so that's a bit of a personal thing. So this gives you a bit more of the way we are thinking here in the audience. Right. So let's go through the challenges, right? So we have a first challenge here, which is visibility and insight. We have a, let's say, a new type of workplace, a new type of the way we are managing our workforce and the devices they have. But we already have very bad news, because if we find that it's already complicated today, it's going to get more complex over time. Because 2018, right before the pandemic, we had 2.4 devices per employee. And by the end of this year, we are expecting this has climbed to 3.6 by the end of this year. So think tablets, smartwatches, basically every device where you consume company resources on company data. And so employees use these devices for different purposes, and you also have different user models, right? So one of the most known, or the most common that we see, certainly with the increase of the amount of devices per employee, is the bring your own device user model. So it's an employee-owned type of device. Typically, it's a smartphone or a tablet. We don't see that a lot in the laptop market today, but surely that's coming. And so they use a personal device for work. Many employees configure these personal cell phones or tablets with work email, and they use the device for work-related activities. And they might even install applications that they do to use their job, but those applications obviously require a work login to be so that the users can use the application properly. So bring your own device. It's one of the most popular mobile device management options, certainly in the United States. So including companies that have no formal device management policy, right? MAM only, if you're familiar with that one. That's one of the biggest trends in the market that we see today. So there's no more management on the device, but only the applications are managed. That's also a sort of bring your own device way of managing a device. However, with security concerns and limited controls associated with bring your own device, other options like COPE, which is company-owned, privately enabled, and then we have also COBO, which is company-owned, business only. They are making a comeback. And so when you weigh bring your own device versus company-owned, privately enabled, or business only for a mobile device policy, the IT team should strive for a functional and feasible approach that is acceptable for both employees and their organizations. Employees more and more speak up. They also want a clear distinction between privacy and work-related stuff, right? So in between there, you also have CYOD, which is choose your own device. And the big difference with choose your own device and bring your own device is that it gives the company slightly more control than bring your own device, because the company offers a range of brands and models of smartphones and tablets that employees can select to do their personal, to do their work and use it as a personal device as well. That mix is here to stay. People having two phones is less and less. So when you have a company phone, you expect it to be able to use it for private purposes as well. Some companies consider choose your own device as a viable option to give employees the flexibility they require. And so choose your own device, it's a version, usually a version of company owned and privately enabled. It's not the only one, but it's a version, the most popular version. And so in company owned, privately enabled, IT teams can fully lock down and manage the device while still allowing personal use. IT can enforce certain security policies on the device. Those typical restrictions are complex password requirements, approvals on app installations, content filtering, and even GPS tracking. So mobile device management tools enable IT teams to remotely update and oversee these devices. The corporate owned and personally enabled policy for devices give companies ownership and control over the device. Employees might have input on the make and on the model, or they might not, right? And so organizations can select a COPE strategy if employees are currently not using a mobile phone or not willing to continue to pay for personal device plans. So they must be willing to adopt a company-owned device that gives them the flexibility to conduct personal activities as well. So it's very important that it's a company-owned device, but private use is enabled. Then you have COBO, which is company-owned, business only. That's quite restrictive, or it can be quite restrictive. It's for tablets, smartphones, and even other device types. You can even do that on laptops these days. So the company owns and controls the use of the device. The corporate-owned device runs business apps only. So everything is managed basically. Typical use cases are devices that are used for work only. Usually they are quite locked down, so personal information is simply not stored on the device. You can even share these devices. It's a very known use case for that. So for that reason, these corporate-owned and business-only policies are typically for employees such as field workers, warehouse workers. We see them in healthcare as well, in hospitals and stuff like that, where you have a complete lockdown device that you share between different workers. You should consider it as a limited set of use cases where mobile device and where the security on mobile devices is a concern. It's a good fit when you have multiple users across one device, because for these users, it doesn't make any sense basically to store personal information on these devices or even install personal apps. So back to the main topic here, because I just explained all the use cases, visibility and insight. With the growing number of devices and different user models, kind of a helicopter view is quite necessary. So such global snapshots of a complete overview provides insight into the time spent or even on these devices. We can even lock it down to that one if you have business only if you have business-only devices. So the nature of the business information they contain and their security level can be read out at that moment. Right, next challenge. The shortage of skills and resources. So the IT skill gap grows wider and wider each year. So we see on the employers today, 95% they are looking for tech talent, and they encountered that shortage. And offering the opportunity to learn new skills could be a way to attract and retain new workers. That's true, but if you see today in the EU only, we have 9 million ICT specialists, around 9 million today. If we see that the evolution in the tech world and in the business world is going as we expected today, we basically need 20 million ICT specialists by 2030. So today's workforce is simply not enough to bridge that gap. And due to these ongoing shortages, companies today are deploying their ICT specialists in those areas where they create the most value. And like it or not, device management or mobile device management often doesn't rank in that category. So organizations today that make the decision to opt for external management, they are basically making optimal use of the knowledge and expertise of their current workforce in ICT. So it's a valuable option. Companies are more looking at externalizing their mobile device management. And then with regards to support, so 94% of the workers today would benefit from a workplace flexibility, and therefore their demands of flexibility are larger than it was before, and it's toward their employers, right? So if we enable the work from anywhere world, we also need to make sure that we can support all these things, right? So as a result, traditional office hours in a fixed location are no longer the norm, and many companies have adopted a more decentralized approach and more flexible work hours. So a help desk that is only staffed during work hours, that simply doesn't meet the employee needs anymore. And so when employees don't lose time with their IT issues, they are more productive, and continuity and cost efficiency rise. Faster IT support leads to happier employees and better customer support. This is great for continuity. So typically, when you externalize your IT, they work on the basis of concrete objectives and service agreements, and they have a continuous improvement process. There's cost saving as well, because there is some proactive support as well. There's quick problem solving, and incidents are usually reduced to a minimum. There's higher productivity, because less interruption with IT problems makes your employees more productive, and customer satisfaction goes up, obviously, because we have less IT issues, and it has a direct impact on your customer service. Not forgetting the satisfaction of your employees. Less IT problems result in an increased satisfaction of your employees. My favorite topic, cybersecurity and shadow IT. So we partnered with Checkpoint a few years ago. They're quite a good partner. They do some research as well. And so in 2020, at the start of the pandemic, they've done research, and 97% of the companies were victim of cyber attacks via mobile devices. It's not something that was new, but the number was shocking, basically. And in an increasingly mobile-first world, hackers are more and more targeting these devices rather than laptops. Why? They have smaller screens. Users tend to be more distracted. The chances of success are simply higher on mobile devices. And so with the increased home working and the increasing use of mobile devices for personal use as well, they are creating simply more gateways into your business network. We are not seeing the win tickets for Six Flags WhatsApp messages anymore. It's more the guys that are more intrusive into the mobile device itself. And since people are distracted, they don't really pay attention whether it's a valuable message, yes or no. And then on the other hand, you have shadow IT. This is the one you should be looking at, because if you look at your shadow IT, that's the next thing you will use for professional service, for professional purposes. And so employees start using technologies and systems for professional purposes without the knowledge and authorization of the IT department, which makes the business an easy target for hackers, and it has a negative impact on your compliance, on your GDPR legislation. And so not only do IT department lose the overview of what applications are people using, but they also lose the view on the information that is stored on the device. If I start sharing confidential documents via WhatsApp, my IT department will never know that, because WhatsApp is not a managed application in our company. So here you see that the risk for success at hackers is increasing these days. Onboarding of new team members. So we're almost in an HR thing right now. So contrary to common belief, the employee onboarding process isn't just for HR. So most modern businesses are heavily reliant on IT infrastructure for employee management, productivity, experience, and also the onboarding. Since workforce is growing and changing rapidly, IT onboarding is often mishandled during the employee onboarding process. It has a negative impact on the business and on the employees, because it results in the following. We delay productive work. If your laptop is not ready on your first day, you're simply not productive on the second day. You create security and compliance risks. A good example of that is we see sometimes, and you hear it as well, that my account for that application is not ready yet. Can I borrow yours? And that then stays for eternity, right? We can expose confidential data, because if you don't have the equipment to work, you start using your own personal devices that might not be protected. And so it also has a negative impact, and that's then again on the HR topic, a negative impact on the employee perception of the new company, right? So nailing your IT onboarding process can be easy and straightforward. You just need the right processes and the right tools to facilitate that process. IT onboarding creates a uniform process to ensure that all required technology is properly set up and new hires are well trained on the tools they will use. It's often something that is forgotten. And then as last one, the last challenge, we have cost predictability. So we have a vendor called Jamf. Jamf is an MDM vendor, or UEM vendor if you like. It's Apple focused. They're close to Apple. They have also, I think they have 0-day implementation of new features at Apple. So they're quite close, and they have a good market share, certainly in the US. And they do studies as well, and they're always interesting to read, to be honest. And one of their studies showed that 70% of companies indicate that they are more likely to join a company if they are giving the choice in technology. So with the need for flexibility, because what they are actually asking is flexibility, there also is the need for predictability, right? Predictability of cost. And those things are not easy to marry, right? Flexibility and predictability are crucial in the modern workplace, as it allows to plan activities and investments to grow the business and be profitable. But when there is an increasing need to offer flexibility for your employees, and by offering device choice, the overall employee experience, efficiency, and productivity, we expect them to increase. And we saw that in the market as well. People are happy when they are able to use the tools that they like. Certainly those damn millennials, they really are used to work with the technology they use in school, they use in university, or they use in their personal life, and they really want to adopt that in the workplace as well. And so with core businesses relying on technology, even the smallest hiccup can significantly impact revenue and brand reputation, so potentially affecting your company's future. So because of the continued shortage in IT skills and resources, few companies have the skills to stay ahead on these technical demands, because what they're actually asking is new technical demands. If you're not used to have Macs in your organization, for example, that can be a problem because you're not able to support it. So if you look at support, if new incidents would arise, suddenly there is a Mac in the workplace. Those incidents that comes with that, they're simply included in the package if you externalized your IT. You don't have unexpected expenses later because it's just a device in the workplace. So this way it is clear how much managing the workplace is going to cost you, right? And so staying on top of your budget while allowing employees flexibility to choose the technology they want to use, it's crucial in the modern workplace. And we'll see later on a few use cases where we can even add more flexibility to the user, and how we can make sure that our cost is exactly the same. Right. Time for a new poll. So what is the biggest challenge you are facing in today's modern workplace? So are there things today that are on the screen right now where you say, okay, this is something that I find in my own professional life, things that I see that indeed this is my biggest challenge? I'll give you some time to respond. Right. I believe everybody has voted, so let's share the results. Yep, I was expected, right? So shortage of skills and resources, indeed. And again, as stated, we're with 9 million in the EU today, and it's gonna get worse. So this gives you a clear indication that maybe externalizing certain of IT activities might be a solution to make sure that IT can focus on the right things. Right. Let's see how we can tackle the challenges that we just highlighted. I will give you some concrete examples that we had in the past, over the last few years, where we helped companies with tackling the issues that they have today with their modern workplace. So we have a company, a leading world leading seafood company. We implemented it. It's not so long ago. So what we did there, we integrated with Microsoft Intune and with their telco provider. So basically, we had a view on the devices they have. They purchase the devices at our end, by the way, but so we have a view, but we have a complete view on whatever they are managing, and their telco provider. So we matched those two. So we have been reinforcing the workplace security by connecting with Active Directory as well. So we know the users, we know the devices, we know the fuel, which is the telco, your subscriptions and stuff like that, to facilitate the management of their modern workplace. But we also facilitated the signage of mobile policies through a platform that we have. So HR, these documents at HR, that mobile policy that you need to sign before you get a new phone. So we have facilitated them, we have digitalized them, and when a user wants to order a new device, they first need to sign the latest version before they can actually order a new device. There's some reporting on that. There's even versioning on that, so that you know which employee has signed which version of the mobile policy. We also added ticket templates and automation. So basically, when a user has a problem, he can fire up a ticket, but we made some automations and templates around that. So if we have common questions or things that we already know, what might be the answer to the question or the incident that the user is raising, he gets the answer right away. It's not really a chatbot, but it's an automation on the most common things that they need to prepare, for example. Then out of the box onboarding, that's an important one. We see that in IT companies, not everybody has adapted that one or adopted that that method. Basically, when we ship a device, that a user can just fire it up and the device configures itself. It's very good cost saving on IT, because there is no IT engineer that needs to touch those devices anymore. It's just the user that can do it complete by himself. Right. And then in terms of budget, which was the cost saving and the predictability of the cost that we talked about earlier, many companies give budgets to users. Here in this company or in this project, we didn't give them a fixed budget, but we made them a monthly budget available that tops up every month. So instead of giving instead of giving 250 euros a year, let's say, for a device, where then if you have a device life cycle of 36 months, is then around 750 euros, which is more or less the price of an iPhone these days. They just gave their employees a 20 euro budget a month, and basically you're not offering flexibility in terms of what device they can choose, but also at what time they choose a new device. If they want a new device after 1 year, they can simply do that. If they want to wait and go for that more expensive phone, they can wait 3 years, for example. So that's a bit offering extra flexibility without cost increase. So the importance of visibility and insight here. So to manage the growing number of devices and different user models, as we saw before, that helicopter view is crucial. So allowing businesses to manage different UAM systems through one single platform. We didn't talk about that, because our platform today, we can manage different or we can onboard different UAM systems. So if you have, for example, Intune, Mobile Iron, Workspace ONE, Nox Manage, name it, Jamf. So while you have a UAM system for the right use case, you can simply connect them to Workplace, and basically they behave exactly the same in Workplace. So you don't need IT training. So a retirement or a lock or a wipe of a device in Workplace looks the same when it's regardless which UAM is in the background. And since you have multiple UAMs, you can also facilitate the migration from one UAM to another one, right? So Workplace here, if it integrates with Active Directory, we also provide single sign-on services, and we integrate with your current group structure. And I think quite a good example of that one. So we supported one of the largest Belgian airports. Guess which airport that is? To migrate from Mobile Iron to Intune. It's a shift that we see in the market. It's been going on for a few years now, where Microsoft is basically winning or largely winning IT these days. So there's a big shift from legacy MDM systems to Intune, and so a migration of that, you can do that by just enrolling all the new devices that you get into the new VM, and you keep the legacy one for the older devices, and so naturally they will flow in. But at that moment, you're basically paying 2 UEMs where you just need one. So We have a system where we can migrate from one UEM to another one with zero admin intervention. So basically, users get an invite, they click on the link that they get, and the migration of the device starts by itself. Users can choose whenever they want to do it. They get a time window to do that. For example, you have 2 weeks to complete your migration, and IT or the admin can basically see which devices are migrated already and which aren't migrated, which one has problems, because a migration includes the retirement of a device in the old or in the legacy MDM and then registration in the new one. You can basically see in what phase the user is and where he has trouble, if he has trouble. Right, the most important topic. So let's take another look at these skill shortages today. So as I said before, so companies, it is a good practice to deploy your IT specialists in the areas where they create the most added value. So if you opt for externalizing your management in a tight labor market, you're making optimal use of knowledge and expertise you have in your company, but also expertise of company that have expertise in just supporting workplace. So with our workplace portal, we aim to support your employees through a few things by facilitating the repetitive tasks through automation, bots, and templates. It's something that we saw before in the use case of that the fishing company. We also give them the opportunity or the possibility of outsourcing support, so and extend their opening hours 24/7, right? Because we work across the globe these days, and we can even differentiate end users and VIPs, where we can even attach different SLAs on. So, and as Workplace integrates with different UEM system, your IT team doesn't need to be trained for all those systems because you have one view for all the UEMs you support today. Right. Here we had a multinational chemical producer. So what we implemented for them is that we created a ticketing system. So all the tickets that were related to modern workplace, the scope there was just mobile phones and tablets, if not mistaken, we were taking up. So basically questions around how to use onboarding of a device. Sometimes people tend to have issues in onboarding or in activating devices when they purchase a new device. All the support calls we were taking. And so here we even captured the entire repair flow. And that's an important one because this is really resource intensive. There's the example, it's not this company, but it's an example of a large Belgian bank. I wouldn't name names. They have around 5,000 employees, something like that. And they had 5 people working on only checking and managing repairs. They're not repairing the device themselves, they're sending them to the repair center, obviously, but checking if the device is really broken, see if it's within the policy, making sure that a certain user doesn't have too much damage each time within a certain time frame. So it's really resource intensive. And so here for the company, for this chemical producer that we're talking about here, we capture the entire repair flow, and we even send spare devices to the users. We arrange logistics. We have our own repair centers that we rely on to do these, our own partners that we rely on to do these repairs. So it really frees up time for IT resources to focus on the structural and tactical things. Right, onboarding of team members. I think there were some people that were have indicated that as one of the biggest challenges that they have in their company. So onboarding of new team members. So with the growing workforce requires organizations to look for a quick, easy, and secure way to onboard new team members. But if you have hybrid workers, we can even enable the on and the offboarding of hybrid workers. So since we ship devices to the people wherever they are on the planet, they don't need to be in the office for their first day. So you can hire people from anywhere in the world. We just ship the device to them, and we make sure that they can onboard the device as quickly as possible. And we're also streaming those onboarding processes by introducing the adapted user rights, and we hook in on your AD infrastructure, so that basically we are reusing the structure that you already have today. Right, there's another use case, one of the world's largest dragging companies from Belgium. You have two choices. So there we have the out-of-the-box enrollment experience as one of the most important things. So there, basically, if a device anywhere in the world breaks down, we just ship a new device, and it's not their IT that basically is preparing a device first and then shipping it over to wherever they are on the planet. We just ship a new device, even still in plastic, to the place that this employee is currently, and they can simply enroll the device itself. So they just fire up the device, they connect it somewhere to the internet, they give in their credentials, and basically the device is configuring itself. So no IT intervention whatsoever. Right, cybersecurity. So to tackle challenges related to shadow IT and cybersecurity in today's modern work from anywhere world, and there it is again, companies are in the need of a centrally managed solution to help secure, protect, and manage the use of their mobile phones, of their mobile devices, be it smartphones or tablets. And so Workplace, the product Workplace or the platform Workplace in this case is the perfect fit, because we can enable businesses to automatically register all devices to their company network. That's the use case that I just said before. If you fire up a device, you just connect it to the internet, you can only use this for work purposes, or you can only enroll it in the company network, so you know exactly where your devices are. It helps businesses to push all security solutions and settings to new and existing devices to fit internal company guidelines. So basically, if you onboard a new application, a security application, for example, or new restrictions, thanks to a UEM system, you can simply push that to all your devices. And then again, which is also important, is the enforcement of the signage of mobile policies, where people log in for the first time in the application. You just let them sign the mobile policy, and you're compliant as well. So here, in one of the largest European independent asset managers. So there we did the automatic enrollment of the security applications and settings when powering on the device for the first time. So you need to be compliant with certain security rules before you can access to company data. And if you refuse to sign the mobile policy, your access is simply denied. Right. Support in the event of problems. So that's something that we saw before, right? So it's decentralized expert support. In today's modern workplace, employees expect to be supported from anywhere, anytime, and any location. If you're on the other side of the globe, you're simply not in the traditional working hours in Europe. So offering IT teams the possibility to outsource their support so that employees can be helped 24/7. And you can also offer them the possibility to let broken devices or damaged devices repaired through the portal. They even get a replacement phone or a replacement tablet if they require, which we can simply ship to them. We have another example of one of the biggest players in the medical device markets. So there we have certain repair policies that the responsibilities that we agreed with the customer and at which cost. The customer has a complete overview of all the repairs that he had, so he has the cost predictability throughout the years, and we even have the entire repair life cycle. So we collect devices, we are delivering a spare, we even ship the fixed devices back to the users. And also and that's what brings us a bit to the next topic as well, is the cost predictability. We can enforce your policies. If your policy is first damage is 100% covered by the company, things can happen. These things tend to break. No problem, we got you covered on the first damage. But as of the second one, where you really start questioning the intents of the employee, you can make sure that they have to pay a part of the repair, and you don't need to deduct the salaries, because apparently that is a difficult thing to do. You can just let the people pay by credit card or debit card on our platform to cover a part of the repair, which is anyway in your policy. And then cost predictability again, flexibility, predictability, so that balance is crucial in modern workplace. And our workplace product is here to help with the necessary flexibility at a predictable monthly cost. So we offer, so we provide your employees with a fixed budget, while still offer the choice of picking the device they want to work on, right? This ensures flexibility, but you stay on budget, on top of your budget at all times. And we even allow people to pay a top-up amount themselves through their bank card, or you can even connect it to a flexible rewards plan. So your flexible income plan can play here as well, to cover the cost of a more expensive device if the user wants that. And there we have one of Belgium's biggest HR businesses. They are offered that flexibility today, so they have a choose your own device program for smartphones and laptops. We ship it to home, and they can simply pay with their flexible reward system. Right. So what makes Workplace so unique today? So this is a little bit of the a summary of what we saw today. So managing the entire workplace lifecycle, that's what we do with Workplace, and we're doing that with a few key things. So first of all, we have ordering. New employee joins the company, is giving access to the portal. They can choose the hardware in accordance to their budgets, but also hardware in accordance to what the company is willing to support. So we have the follow-up as well. So the portal displays the status of all the managed devices in real time, individually for the employee. So the employee, if they log in, they can see all their devices and request support on it, but also consolidated for the fleet manager or for IT. I refer a lot to IT, but as well, HR can have a view on all those devices. Sometimes they need that for calculations at their end. Then for support in the event of problems and questions about a device, an end user can submit a ticket in the user portal or contact the help desk inside, outside office hours. And we also have an FAQ section that we can populate, and we tend to update that with the most common questions these days. Repair and replacement. If the device is stolen or damaged, we send all instructions based on company guidelines. So if a user assigns or creates a ticket for a stolen device, we can simply in real time give them the guidelines, what they need to follow, and that can include anything, even phone number of the telco company that they need to call for blocking the SIM card, stuff like that we can do. So we collect the device for repair if it's broken and provide a replacement if necessary, to ensure business continuity. And then at the end of the product life cycle, 12, 24, 36 months, whatever is in the policy, we invite the user to hand in their device. We can take care of a recycle process as well, while the employee can immediately order a new device. Right, so key takeaways from today. So the modern workplace is here to stay. That's a given. You see, that the numbers of remote workers today. And there's also an increased need for flexibility to support those hybrid workers. So workplace is a solution today that supports the entire modern workplace lifecycle by carrying out several operational tasks, saving IT teams and resources some time to focus on more structural and tactical IT, ordering devices. We have real-time overview in the workplace. We support in the event of problems. We repair and we replace lost and broken devices. And we are recycling old hardware as well. So that's more or less the view that I want to give you today on how we see the modern workplace, how we can help, how our product also can be in that can play in that field. So I hope it was at least a little bit inspiring on what we see, how the modern workplace will look like today and in the near future. We have a couple of minutes left. So if any of you has some questions, feel free to pop them in the questions section. This is usually the time where I think that everything was very, very clear and nobody has questions. All right, if there are no further questions, oh, there is one, I think. Let me see. So there is a question that's coming up. Can I integrate multiple UAM systems with workplace? Yes, you can. Basically, we support Mobile Iron, Cloud, Core, doesn't really matter. Microsoft Intune, Jamf, Knox Manage from Samsung, and VM Workspace ONE. So VMware Workspace ONE. Yeah, that's what we support today. But basically, on demand, we have project-based as well. On demand, normally, we can integrate other UAMs as well if we find it tactically interesting to onboard them as well. Our system is API based, so as long as you have an API, that should be okay. Right. Then I can only wish you a very, very nice day. Reminder of the day. Enjoy your lunches if you're in the EU time zone. And thanks for joining again.